स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. I offer my obeisance at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna, Mother Sharda Devi and Swami Vivekananda. My namaskars to all of you. At one place, Swami Vivekananda tells, suppose all the buffaloes come together and they want to have an idea of God. You know, most of us, we human beings, want to see God as human beings. It is called anthropomorphic. We want to see all the human beings like a human beings or a special and strong and powerful human being. In the same way, suppose all the buffaloes come together and they want to have their own God. What would be the concept of God to these buffaloes? Swami Vivekananda tells that a golden buffalo with a golden horn, big strong horn, sitting on a golden throne and giving hundreds and liters of milk. So that would be the highest concept of all the buffaloes to put together if they want to think of God. That is the buffalo God. That's how you can see, even in the human beings, we get some concept of God. Let us see the example of human beings now. When I was looking after the students in India, we would not allow the students to wear jeans pant and t-shirt. Why would we not allow them to wear the t-shirt? Because they would wear some peculiar sayings on the t-shirts. That's how we wanted to ban it. One example, one of the boy was wearing a t-shirt on which it was written, "My father is my ATM." So for him, the concept of father is all-time money, giving mission. If the father doesn't give him money and the facility, he is no more a father to him. So that is the limited idea of the father, now the present day generation of the children. What about mother? Mother is service vending or service giving mission. She should be making bed coffee, she should be washing your clothes, looking after you, prepare the food. Then only you call her mother. Otherwise, you don't respect your mother if she doesn't serve you properly. Now, in the same fashion, what is our idea of God then? So God should be boon-giving mission. That's why you see everywhere in the temple, God should be holding one hand like this and another hand like this. What is the idea of this? This is always, I'll be giving you boons. Varakara, giving boons. And another hand, abhaya, fearlessness. So if God doesn't give you boons, then you will not call him a God at all. Why should we want him? So this is our limited idea of God. That's why we should understand. In the last Saturday, I was discussing about who are we. So we went through different ideas given by Swami Vivekananda. We had a glimpse of who are we. Today, I will take you through the idea of the evolution of the concept of God. Again, taking the help of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda says, of all the forces that have worked and are still working to mold the destinies of the human race, none certainly is more potent than that the manifestation of which we call religion. All social organizations have as a background somewhere the workings of that peculiar force, and the greatest cohesive impulse ever brought into play amongst human units have been derived from this power. It is obvious to all of us that in very many cases, the bonds religion has proved stronger than the bonds of race or climate or even of descent. It is a well known fact that persons worshipping the same God, believing in the same religion, have stood by each other with much greater strength and constancy than people of merely the same descent or even brothers and sisters. Various attempts have been made to trace the beginning of religion. Now, Swami Vivekananda very scientifically, logically explains what are these theories by which we can trace the history of religions and development of the idea of God. Various attempts have been made to trace the beginnings of religion. In all the ancient religions which have come down to us at the present day, we find one claim made. Every religion, every religious leader, whoever it might be, they make a claim. What is that? That they are all supernatural, that their genesis of birth is not as it were in the human brain, but they have originated somewhere outside of it. Now, Swami Vivekananda tells scholars opine, what is that? Two theories have gained acceptance, some acceptance amongst modern scholars about the origin of religion and God. One is the spirit theory of religion, and the other is the evolution of the idea of infinite. So it is a little abstract, isn't it? Let us make it a little concrete, make it clear. What is that spirit worship or spirit theory of religion? That party maintains that ancestor worship. We all of us do Pitru Paksha, worship our ancestors, isn't it? All of us. So here Vivekananda is telling, many of the scholars opine that ancestor worship is the beginning of religious ideas. Then what is the other idea? That is the spirit theory of religion. The other, that religion originates in the personification of the power of nature. Nature worship. Now, the first one, that is the ancestral worship, ancestor worship. Man wants to keep up the memory of his dead relatives and thinks they are living even when the body is dissolved, and he wants to place food for them and, in a certain sense, to worship them. Out of that came the growth we call the concept of God and religion. One theory. Now, if you study, Vivekananda tells, the ancient religions of the Egyptians, Babylonians, Chinese, and many other races in America, the Red Indians, and elsewhere, we find very clear traces. Even in Africa, you can see that most of it is ancestral worship only. We find very clear traces of this ancestor worship being the beginning of religion. On the other hand, there are scholars, Vivekananda tells, who from the ancient Aryan literature, that is the Hindu literature, Vedas, show that religion originated in nature worship. Even in Africa, you can see nature worship is there in plenty. Although in India, we find proofs of ancestor worship everywhere, yet in the oldest records, that is the Rig Veda, oldest book, oldest scripture of Hindus, of any other religion, is Rig Veda. Maybe it is 40, 50, 60,000 years old. So you can see the oldest records, Vivekananda tells, there is no trace of whatsoever of the ancestor worship. In the Rig Veda Samhita, the most ancient record of the Aryan race or the Hindus, we do not find any trace of ancestor worship. Modern scholars think it is the worship of nature that we find there, the worship of the rivers. That's why the whole rishis or the Aryans or the Hindus, they started their civilization on the bank of Saraswati, Ganga, Yamuna. So even now you see they worship Saraswati and Ganga. So much we worship. So nature worship, you can see, we can find in Hinduism and in the Aryan race. The human mind seems to struggle to get a peep behind the scenes, the dawn. Why should you worship nature? So the human mind seems to struggle to get a peep behind the scenes, the dawn, the evening, the hurricane, the stupendous and gigantic forces of the nature. There is a cyclone, there will be a flood, there will be a storm. You want to protect it. You are so weak before every storm. If there is heavy rain, you have to suffer. So the forces of nature are tormenting you. So you want to control that. You want to go beyond that. So Vivekananda is telling the dawn, the evening, the hurricane, the stupendous and the gigantic forces of the nature, its beauties, these have exercised the human mind, and our mind aspires to go beyond, to understand something about them, control them, go beyond them. So that is another reason for worshipping the nature and finding God, and that religion have origin in nature worship also. Giving the forces of nature souls and bodies, sometimes beautiful, sometimes transcendent. Every attempt by these phenomena becomes abstractions, ideas, whether personalized or not. So also it is found with the ancient Greeks. Their whole mythology is simply this abstracted nature worship. So also with the ancient Germans, the Scandinavians, and all other Aryan races. These two views, though they seem to be contradictory. See, these two theories, one is the spirit theory where we worship the ancestors, and the other is the worship of the nature. It externally looks as if they are contradictory, but Vivekananda tells can be reconciled on the third basis. What is that? Vivekananda tells, which to my mind is the real germ of religion, and that I propose to call the struggle to transcend the limitation of our senses. We are limited by our mind and the senses. So all of us are trying very, very difficultly that to go beyond these senses. Now, why ancestral worship? Because we all of us don't want to die. We have the fear of death. So we want to live eternally. So we want infinite life. So we worship the ancestors and try to go beyond. Why do we want nature worship? Because all of us want not little power, but we want infinite power, infinite pleasure. All of us have that goal. You can see anybody, a person, he becomes rich, he gets a lot of money, he's not satisfied. Then he becomes a politician, he earns more money, then he buys so much of property, he's not satisfied. He goes on buying spree and so many things. Enough for 14 generations, still he wants and wants and wants. Don't be jealous of them, because every one of us have that greed. Why? We have that urge for infinite life, infinite pleasure, infinite power. All of us have that. So Vivekananda is telling this third theory, according to Vivekananda, is the germ or the real reason. What is that? To go beyond the senses, to go beyond the limitation of our senses and the body, is the real of the discovery of religion and different gods and goddesses, Vivekananda tells. Either man goes to seek for the spirits of his ancestors, the spirits of the dead, that is, he wants to get a glimpse of what there is after the body is dissolved, or he desires to understand the power working behind the stupendous phenomena of nature. Whichever of these is the case, one thing is certain, that he tries, we all of us human beings try to transcend the limitation of senses, our weakness, our body, and we want to go beyond that. So our urge for infinite life, our urge for infinite power, our urge for infinite pleasure. Why? Because we are holding the infinite Lord within us. Because God, who is infinity, is present in all of us. That is why we have that urge. We are not limited. You know, there was in the Mahabharata one great demon called Bakasura. He was very famous for gluttony. He had the power of digestion so much. So one of our Swamijis used to tell that some people have the capacity to eat a lot. Some of them tell he had very good capacity of batting. He's a very good batsman, means he can eat very well. So what was the terminology given to that gluttony or eating too much? He has gastronomical powers of astronomical proportions. What is gastronomical powers? Digestive capacity. He has gastronomical powers of astronomical proportions. So this Bakasura used to eat cartloads of food. And also he used to eat the bullock which was sent, and also that human being was sent, used to devour not only the rice, the dal, and whatever was sent, he used to devour the two bullocks and the human beings too. So much of digestive capacity. We all know that Bhima killed him. Now, this Bakasura, or that great demon who has a capacity of digestion and eating so much, that gluttony, is given 1 ounce of buttermilk to drink when he's very hungry. What happens? His hunger increases and he will become angry, anxious to eat more. Why? Because he has the capacity of eating too much. Likewise, you have infinite joy, infinite knowledge, infinite existence, infinite security within you in the form of God within you. How can you be satisfied with little puny joys of the senses of the world? That's why you aspire for more and more and more. And that is the reason for discovery of religion. That is the reason for discovery of gods and goddesses. And you go on this worship of nature, worship of other things. He cannot be satisfied with his senses. He wants to go beyond the limitations of the senses. The explanation need not be mysterious. Swami Vivekananda tells, to me, it seems very natural that the glimpse of religion should come sometimes through dreams also. The first idea of immortality may well get through dreams. Is it not most wonderful state? But Swami Vivekananda tells, no, that to my mind would be more natural. Okay, explanation of supernatural. Through this dream idea, the human mind rises to higher and higher conceptions of the religion. Of course, in time, the vast majority of mankind found out that these dreams are not verified by their waking states. How dreams can take you to higher states. So many people get so many wonderful dreams and becomes real afterwards. Do you know one of the chemists called Kekule? He was experimenting. You know, there are these alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. So the linear structures, the benzene, he was trying to experiment. He was not successful in his experiment at all. So because he was thinking the bondings are linear, he tried and tried and tried. He couldn't get any result out of it. That day, intensely thinking and staying in the lab and working a lot, he went to sleep. In the dream, he saw a snake swallowing its own tail in the dream. Then he got the idea. Yes, it is not linear structure, it is circular. That's how all these alkenes, or the benzene structure, the ring structure he got. So in dream also they could get these ideas, but that would not satisfy them, Vivekananda tells. So, of course, in time, the vast majority of mankind found out that these dreams are not verified by their waking states, and that during the dream state, it is not that man has a fresh existence, but simply that he recapitulates the experience of the awakened state. But by this time, the search has begun, and the search was inward. And man continued inquiring more deeply into the different stages of the mind and discovered higher states than either the waking or the dreaming. The state of things we find in all the organized religions of the world. They are called either ecstasy or inspiration. In all organized religions, their founders, prophets, and messengers are declared to have gone into the states of mind that were neither waking nor sleeping, in which they came face to face with a new series of facts relating to what is called the spiritual kingdom. They realized things there much more intensely than we realize facts around us in our waking state. Take, for instance, the religions of the Hindus. The Vedas are said to be written by the rishis. These rishis were sages who realized certain facts. The exact definition of the Sanskrit word rishi is a seer of mantras. Mantra drashtara is called rishi. Okay, you chant in the beginning of the satsang one mantra. What is that? Gayatri mantra. All of you, you do that Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Saviturvarenyam, all that thing. Who discovered it? It was discovered by Vishwamitra Rishi. His earlier name was Kaushika Maharaja. He was a king. He found that physical strength is of no use, spiritual strength is the topmost. That's why he gave up his kingdom and started doing austerities for thousands and thousands of years. And then in that pure state of mind, this mantra was, he could see in golden letters. He wanted to give that which would do good to the humanity. That's why he got the name. His name was Kaushika Maharaja. He became Vishwamitra. Mitra means friend. Vishwa means to the universe. He became friend of the universe. He became a universal prayer mantra by which the humanity could be benefited. So how did he get it? It was there. The truth was there. But when he raised his mind to that higher level, then that was revealed to him. Likewise, from the level, lowest level, the tribals, they have their tribal gods. They want to know more. They want to study. They do this, they find. Then they find these tribal gods. Then still higher, 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 higher. So he went above and above finally. So was it that human being who found out God? No. The truth was already there. Was the law of gravity waiting for Newton for the apple to fall down? No, it was already there. The falling of an apple was only a suggestion by which, because of that pure mind, it was revealed to him. Likewise, the idea of God, we see 330 millions of God in our Hinduism, in the Greek gods, the Roman gods, and the in the Christianity, find so many gods and goddesses. Why? How? Where? Because as man evolved in the state of this thing, as we go on evolving, our concept of God also evolves. And we discover different aspects of God. And finally, the highest formless and the attributeless God. And finally, you will come to know you are that. It is within you. You will turn inward. So many things is there to explain and take you through. But of this world of Maya is limited by time, space, and causation. So time, space, and causation. So we are limited by time, Kala. Shiva's another name is Kala. That's why he has a moon on his head. Time, indication of time. So we have to follow the time. So let us conclude, because go on telling so many beautiful concepts. Vivekananda gives us so many beautiful things about how human beings discovered these gods and goddesses and got the highest, and this religion and everything. But we shall now conclude. What is that? Now let us see. Somebody, the scientists want to go to the sun and find out. So they're sending some, maybe some rockets or something to go there. Human beings are there. They're taking different photographs of the sun from different distances. You get different varieties of photographs of the sun. Sun is not only spherical, but it is not just a circle, but it is a sphere. So different radii. So the radii is not limited to one circle, but it is different spherical. So from different radii, if you take different photographs of of sun, you will get different photos. Then is sun different? Because you get different photographs there. Is sun different in all those cases? No. Your level of going towards the sun makes the difference. That's why our evolution, as we go on progressing and progressing in our level of evolution, our idea, concept of God also goes on evolving. So did human being discover God? No. God was already there in reality. It is only a discovery. So God doesn't exist. It was created by man. No, that's not the idea. As we go on evolving, we discover different aspects of God. That's why you find so many paths, so many gods, so many things. Finally, you will realize the reality. So you got an idea in the beginning itself, as I told you in the first class. Who are we? We are God in essence. Then what is this concept of God? I could take you only a little. So in the next class, I will take you through another concept of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. See, the history of evolution of God from the beginning to the end, they have found out. So in one life, the Avatar Purusha will cover and realize all that concept of God. That is the speciality of our Avatara. All the ideals, all the path was discovered by Ramakrishna. That's why he's called Sarva Deva Devi Swarupa. So we will take up that point and discuss about that. So I will give an end to my talk now. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.